Losing that stubborn belly fat. I will show you exactly how to get rid of it and the 4 reasons many people fail to realize the desired progress. Because losing belly fat often requires you to go the extra mile. Stomach fat tends to be the first thing you notice when you gain fat, and it feels like the last thing to go once you start burning fat. That has a reason. Important organs are located around your stomach area, and the body likes storing fat in these regions to have a higher local energy buffer. This helps explain why research shows that most people have more alpha receptors in their stomach fat region. Alpha receptors send a signal to fat cells to slow down the release of fat. This is how our biology is designed. We cannot change that. Taking a fat burner will not work, and research shows that training your abs 5 times per week also does not increase abdominal fat loss. So what can you do to lose that stubborn fat? This brings us to reason number 1 most people struggle with stubborn stomach fat, and that is underestimating your actual body fat percentage. Many individuals start their fat loss efforts around 25 to 30% body fat, with excess belly fat that you would like to get rid of. If you start at this point and you lose your first 7 kilograms or 15 pounds, you expect your stomach to get leaner. The reality is that your stomach looks kind of the same, just a bit smaller. If your body loses fat as a whole, you will also lose some fat from your stomach. But when you go from 30 to 20% body fat, you are mostly peeling back layers of fat before you start seeing abdominal definition. The initial progress you will make will mostly be visible in the extremities of your body, like your face, arms, and legs. To start seeing some abdominal definition, reaching closer to 15% body fat will be needed. Once you are around 15% body fat, any additional fat loss will now start to be much more noticeable around the stomach region. When the fat in your arms, legs, and upper back has gone significantly down, your body has no other option than to also tap into those stubborn stomach regions. I have noticed this as well. From around 17% body fat to 11% is when I personally saw the most abdominal fat loss. So if you are losing fat at the moment but you're frustrated by the fact that your stomach isn't leaning out that much, you simply need to lean down further before the stomach fat gets tapped into. Now, the second reason losing stomach fat is difficult for many people is because they are under-muscled while attempting to lose that stubborn fat. As we just discussed, you need to get quite lean to substantially reduce belly fat. But if you lack muscle development, it is difficult to create that tight stomach look even if your body fat is relatively low. This is why the recommendation is to lift weights to build more muscle while you are attempting to get a ripped and tight stomach. Keep the cardio in your training limited. Focusing on lifting weights and building more muscle will even make your waist appear leaner without losing significant fat, and that is because of the contrast effect. If your shoulders get wider and more muscular while your waist size stays the same, by contrast your stomach looks leaner. Of course, to get the most powerful effect, we want to build muscle and drop body fat. You might be asking yourself though, can I build muscle while getting leaner? Yes, you can. Assuming you are a beginner to early intermediate trainee, research clearly shows that you can build muscle and lose fat simultaneously. Like in this study where beginner trainees were able to gain 4 kilograms of muscle and lose 4 kilograms of fat in 3 months. So focus on having a 3 to 4 day per week training program focused on lifting weights, while keeping your nutrition in a 20 to 25% daily calorie deficit to lose fat, and have at least 1.6 grams per kilogram of your goal body weight in protein. With these 3 variables, you have a winning formula that will get you lean overall, including the stomach area. Now, for some people, getting somewhat lean is not enough. They want to see ripped abs at least once in their life to see what they're capable of achieving. In this case, more diligence with nutrition is needed. A day or 2 in the week with more flexible eating will not make or break your progress if you are generally mindful of your nutrition. But based on my many years working as a personal trainer, a common obstacle to getting that lower body fat percentage is alcohol intake. So that brings us to reason number 3 losing stubborn fat can be a challenge, and that is alcohol consumption. Alcohol by itself is not fattening, but drinking can easily push you over your daily calorie allotment. It is important to remember that alcohol contains calories, providing about 7 calories per gram. Many alcoholic beverages also tend to be high in calories without making you feel full. I personally do not drink, but I do know from friends that alcohol is oftentimes not just consumed individually, but it's paired with a meal or snacks, making it even harder to control calories. Also, because the byproduct of alcohol, acetate, is toxic, consuming alcohol temporarily blocks fat burning until you have burned those calories off. All these drawbacks are manageable if you moderate your alcohol intake and are fine with hovering around that 15% body fat level mark. But to get highly defined abs and drastically reduce stubborn fat, alcohol consumption becomes an obstacle. For my online coaching clients that have the goal to get as lean as possible, I give them the recommendation to limit alcohol consumption to no more than 2 times per week. For each day, the calorie value of the alcoholic beverages should not exceed 10% of your daily calorie intake. So that is minimal alcohol intake, but it's for a good reason, so that you can reach new heights in your fitness process. The fourth reason many people struggle with losing that stubborn stomach fat is that they are not accurate with their tracking or approach their fat loss phase completely intuitively. Again, if your goal is to hover around a reasonably healthy body weight, eating intuitively based on your internal hunger and satiety signals is awesome. It's what I'm doing at this moment to roughly maintain my body weight. But if losing high amounts of fat is the goal, your body will not lose fat by itself. Eventually, your internal hunger and satiety signals will drive you to eat more when you approach a body fat percentage that is lower than what your body is used to maintaining. So if you want to lose more fat and progress beyond the typical body fat percentage that you have been maintaining for the past several years, tracking your nutrition and results accurately is recommended. Nutritional research also supports that self-monitoring improves fat loss success. I recommend tracking both your input and output measures in your fat loss process. For your input measures, track calories, protein, and your workout performance. As output measures, track your body weight, waist size measurements, and take progress pictures. This gives you full control over your fat loss progress. You're tracking both your actions and the outcome. So if the actions you are taking are no longer producing the desired result, you know you need to change your approach. For instance, after I cut down from 25 to 15% body fat, my outcome measures showed that my fat loss progress started slowing down. So I added daily walks to my routine to increase my calorie burn and get to an even lower body fat percentage. You can do the same in your fitness journey. Track your training, nutrition, and progress. Based on the development over time, you can tweak your approach for the desired result. Because one thing is for sure, fat loss is not a linear process. You will come across plateaus and periods of slower progress. That is normal. Several months back, I made a video of how I went from 25% to 10% body fat. I will put that video somewhere here and in the description below so you can check it out. You will see that your calorie deficit approach at 25% body fat will be different than when you are at 12% body fat. For instance, the leaner you get, the more efficient it is to move your body around, so you burn fewer calories in exercise. Adding some low-intensity cardio in your routine is helpful in this case. Next to that, as you lower your body fat percentage, you start benefiting more from having diet break periods in which you have 4 to 7 days of eating at maintenance calories. So your body can have some well-needed breaks from being in an intensified calorie deficit. Check out the video in my description, it will explain all of this in more detail. And lastly, as a healthy reminder, you will always have a little bit of stubborn belly fat. It's normal. Avoid getting to unhealthy low body fat levels in which you feel crappy just to have defined abs. It is good to challenge yourself if you have never seen your abs and want to make a push for a six-pack. But even once you have abs, you will notice that in bad lighting, the abs will fade away. And when you sit in certain angles, you will still notice some stubborn fat. Not to mention that most people will feel higher in energy and will be able to train harder in the gym if they have a healthy buffer of body fat. I now like still walking around to having visible abs, but with a healthy buffer of body fat since that's when I feel at my best. So do not put too much focus on getting shredded. And that was all for today's video. I hope you now have a better understanding of how you can go about losing stubborn stomach fat. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Also, if you found this video helpful, then leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next one.